here, you're at home, you're thinking, oh, I got a nice mocha pot, I got a Mr. Coffee, I got a pour over, you know, what don't I have? What's something cool that all the kids are doing? I've got something for you. If that's what you're wondering, maybe you want to try something different, try a new brew method. And that is the AeroPress. Sasha had spoken about it earlier, but this little guy right here, very compact, easy to take with you, and also very trendy in the coffee world. They have AeroPress competitions. And another neat thing about the AeroPress is there's a lot of different ways you can use it. When you have your French press, there's only one way to use your French press. You put the grinds in the hot water and you push down. When you have a Chemex or even a Mr. Coffee, a drip, or an American drip, or a pour over, it's kind of only one way. You get one type of coffee, just one way. That's all you really do with it. But for our AeroPress here, you can do espresso. You can brew it. You can put a lot of grounds and pour a very small amount of water and create a very high concentrate and do an espresso. You can add some hot water to it, make an Americano. You can do what I like to do, which is I use the Golden Cup, which is a kind of SCA World Coffee thing. That's the ratio that grinds what's called the Golden Cup. It's a perfect ratio between grounds and hot water. And one thing that I forgot to mention, or maybe we forgot to mention, was that this is all very personal. Grinding coffee, how you grind coffee, the amount of coffee you use, the hot water that you use, those are going to be up to you. If your coffee is too acidic, maybe you can grind it a little bit finer, and it'll be a little bit sweeter. But if it becomes too bitter or too strong, maybe you want to grind it a little bit coarser. And it also depends on the type of coffee that you're using. If you're using a dark roast, you want to grind a little coarser. If you like a medium or a lighter roast, you can grind a little finer usually. So it all does depend on you, how you like your coffee, how you like it to taste, and also the roast level of your preferred roast level and brew method. So, go ahead, experiment, have some fun. I'm going to grind some coffee for you guys right now, and we're going to do a little demo. I'm going to start here with my new favorite, conical burr grinder. Got a little of our Jamaica Blue Mountain coffee here. I'm sure Sasha showed you, and here we are again. Jamaica Blue Mountain, that's the lion, that's us, that's Ovelle Coffee, guys. So if you want to grab a bag, feel free to grab a bag. We've got some we've also got some new arrivals coming that you're going to hear about. We're very excited for.
It also just has the stirring of beans in the ground coffee.
So you can stir the slurry. That is something that especially I like to do with my Mr. Coffee, because it will only extract one portion of the grounds. If you look in the Mr. Coffee here, Mr. Coffee's great. He treats you well. He's there every morning for you, but a lot of times he needs a little help. And you'll see here how this little arm is only this little arm here is only over one spot. So all the coffee directly underneath it is just getting hit with hot water. So you might want to stir that slurry, that cake, that ground in there a little bit, and that'll kind of even out your extraction rate. I like to do that. So yes, definitely stirring your slurry or your cake or your grounds to ensure a even extraction is definitely recommended. If you're using a Chemex, you can kind of just pour the hot water over the whole thing. You don't have to stir it. I've seen people stir it. It's not necessary, but if you do want to stir it, as far as the AeroPress, you definitely have to stir your AeroPress. But we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that stirring of the AeroPress in just a minute. I'm going to grind a little coffee. I've got our handy dandy scale here. I like to grind 8.5 grams for 150 milliliters. And that is about half of an American cup, so I will double that. So we're going to do 17 grams. If you take notes here, I would definitely recommend a kitchen scale. A kitchen scale is another great way that you might already have something like this at home, a nice scale. This is a digital, nice readout scale, super easy to use. You might have one at home. You can get one online, or you can go to anywhere, Marshall's, Target, Walmart, and grab one. And so gonna put it right into the little catcher there. When it says 17. Okay. Got 17. Put that right in the top. Make sure I got all of it. Okay. So here we are. And AeroPress is generally a little bit finer because of the extraction method. Extraction method is kind of what we're talking about here, how you extract the coffee, because coffee turns brown like that because there are particles of coffee in that hot water. Little tiny particles of coffee are extracted flavors, oils into that hot water. You're going to have more extraction when it's finer, less extraction when it's coarser. Generally, if you have a method that is a longer brew time, you can use a coarser grind because it's going to have more chance to extract. If the brew time is very short, like in the AeroPress, it's about a minute, or an espresso is 30 seconds, you want it to be very fine. Just because it's going to have more surface area, the extraction rate will be faster. So here, I'm going to set it to about, so middle would be the top. You can't really see it, but I'm going to set it to about a fine, medium fine. And you hear that? That's nice and quiet. Not super loud. All of it. Okay. And we're going to set the cup here. Oh, set the cup. So when you're doing your AeroPress, you got your grounds, you got your mug, your AeroPress, your hot water, you got it all right here. And you got your coffee ground. I put my mug right on the scale. You got just the right amount of coffee here for you, perfect size. Tear that scale. And we are going to pre-wet our filter. This is necessary because it's going to take off a lot of that filtery taste. We will also, here we go. You can also warm up your AeroPress or your coffee mug. A lot of people will do that too. They'll dump hot water in the mug, dump hot water in the AeroPress, warm up the whole thing. So that your coffee isn't cooling too fast as it hits these colder surfaces. So I place this here. I know exactly how much coffee and hot water I'm going to use. I have my AeroPress funnel. And this is the style that I use, which is just kind of a traditional American cup of coffee. It is, nothing super special about it. It's just a regular old, it would be the same measurements that you would use if you're going to use a Chemex. It would be the same measurements that you're going to use if you use a drip. But I just like the way that the coffee comes out. It comes out really smooth from an AeroPress. And I'm all about smooth, easy to drink coffee. And an AeroPress is one of the top-notch ways to do that. So I really, really enjoy this method. So I've got my grounds here. I've got my scale ready. I've got my filter pre-wetted, and now I am going to pour just a bit. I'm going to shake it so that the grounds are even, and I'm going to bloom it. We talked about blooming earlier. It allows some gases to come off. So I'm going to just pour maybe 30 milliliters of this hot water that is not boiled. It's just off boil. I'm going to let that sit for a little bit, and you can see it start to, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but you can kind of see the grounds starting to puff up there. And so, yeah, you can see it's kind of puffing up a little bit. I don't know if you can quite see that, but that is the mostly nitrogen off-gassing, degassing, which is it's a very sour taste. If you just pour your hot water, if you get freshly roasted coffee and you just pour the hot water on it, you don't allow it to bloom, it's going to be a little bit more sour because what you're going to do is you're going to trap that nitrogen down into the cup. Doesn't take very long. Pour a little hot water on it, let it sit for about 30 seconds. That's all you really got to do. And I'm going to fill this up to 300 because remember we did double. So I'm going to do 300 milliliters of water. And here we go. Just give it a little stir, twist it a little bit, just to make sure all of the coffee is covered by hot water. And okay, that is done. And we give it a stir. And this is a way you can, some people stir it for a long time, some people stir it for a little bit. I give it, a couple of stirs around, and there's a couple other, there's really a lot of random ways you can do this. So there's a way that you can flip your coffee over. You can do the inverted style. But okay, so you got it stirred. Pull it up a little bit so you create that suction. And as you see, there's nothing dripping out here. Maybe you can see a little better against that white background. There's nothing dripping out. So it's just sitting in there. It's immersed. You can use it like a French press if you want. But because I ground it finer and I'm using less grounds, I'm using more of an immersion method. I had somebody ask me, so that's kind of like a French press. And I said, no, well, there's a filter and it takes the grounds out of the cup, but also the brew time is a little bit less. You're gonna brew your French press. It's a brew. It's steeping almost in a French press. So it's gonna be almost like tea. You let it sit in the hot water and it extracts that way. It's coarser, doesn't need to be so fine. But this is only, a minute. It kind of depends also on how you like it. You might let it go for a little bit longer. If you want it to be stronger, it might be a little bit more bitter. But it all depends on you. It depends on how you like your cup, how you like it to be ground, how you like it to be roasted, what makes you smile in the morning, when you go in to see your buddies at your job or your boss, whoever, who you might hate, hey, I don't know, but it's all up to you. And so what we're doing here is just, showing you a couple different ways to brew your coffee. And this AeroPress is really, really, really great because it's so smooth, because it traps some of the oils. It's not as oily of a cup of coffee as like a French press. I would put it close to a Chemex, close to a drip, but it is very compact and it is also easy to clean up. You don't have a whole lot of stuff that you have to do.
There's a question.
What's up?
So Hank's question was, please discuss the storing of beans and the ground coffee.
So you'd seen me stir the storing.
The storing.
I heard stirring, but storing. Yes. Well, I will get to that in a second. I am going to plunge this coffee down because we are pretty much done. So I'm going to use that. Yep. So then you got it, you have it done here. here, maybe a minute, however long you like to do it. Slowly pushing it, slowly pushing it. You don't want to push it too fast. You don't want to push it too slow. I would say maybe another minute. There are very detailed instructions on how to do this. We're working on some for our website, but there are some on AeroPress.com. And once you start to hear it kind of hiss, then you're pretty much done. Okay. And so you have a cup of coffee right here. Very smooth. Thank you. Cup of Joe. Ready to go. AeroPress. It's delicious. I would say it takes maybe, a couple minutes. I like to let mine sit a little bit longer. And I use a little bit less grounds, and I let mine sit a little bit longer. But it all depends. If you like espresso, you can use a lot of grounds and just dump a little bit of hot water on it. Or you can, that's a good cup of Joe right there. I'm telling you, that's a good cup of coffee. Or you can, you can do what I do, which is basically just an American cup, just a regular drip, kind of the same measurements. And, it all really does start with your coffee, with your beans. And we source our beans directly. We trade them directly. We know our producer. It all starts with your beans. It all starts with your beans, whether you get them whole or ground, and how you store them is a very good question, Hank. You want to make sure that you keep it airtight, and you want to keep it out of direct sunlight, and you want to keep it from getting too hot. So you don't want to put it, in right next to the window in a bag that's a see-through bag with the sun hitting it all day. You're going to kill your coffee. It's going to be out of flavor in a couple days. You don't want to keep it, a lot of people, they just have the little tin ties. They get the ground coffee. I see this a lot, and people just roll it down. They put the little tin tie on it, and that's not airtight. That is not airtight. It's going to be pretty much, flavorless in a week, and that's being kind of generous. I would say that's probably going to be borderline flavorless in a couple days. The coffee is going to be done. So what you want to do to store your coffee is buy a canister like this one that I have right here. It's got a little latch for that pot. Comes right up, and the top is blacked out, so it's just boom. Put the latch on it. It's got a nice ring around the there's this ring right here, so you can just airtight seal it. Put it in here and lock it. And this is going to keep your coffee fresh for a month. If you have whole beans and from the roast date, and you keep it like this, out of the really hot, out of the sunlight, out of the air, you got a month of fresh coffee, of amazingly fresh, like just roasted coffee, especially, if you keep it whole bean, you don't grind it. And that's gonna be the best way to level up your coffee. You're gonna notice right away that it's very fresh, that it tastes like, you just got a fresh cup from your favorite cafe. That's what it's gonna taste like every time at home. And it only takes depends on how you wanna brew it, but it only takes maybe a minute or two. And the best thing about the AeroPress is the cleanup. I'll show you this real quick, because you have this cake in the AeroPress. You pull the top off here, and then there's the filter here, and you just plunge it out. You just like that, and you're done. And it's clean. It's done. You gotta clean this off after, if you want to do another cup, but then you're done, and you can go on about your life, and you don't have like this huge pot that you have to clean and all of this extra mess. It's easy to clean. It's delicious, and I definitely highly recommend it. There is a way to do it where you invert it. I've seen it done before where you have the AeroPress inverted, so you have it like this, because this is, this is watertight in here. So you would actually put it like this, put it upside down, put the grounds in, and then the hot water and stir it, and then you would wet the filter so it sticks to the top. Turn it, let that sit, flip it, and then plunge. So that's also going to be another way. There's a lot of different ways you can use your AeroPress. Highly recommend it. I think it starts about $25. You can grab one. You can go to they sell them at like Target. They sell them at I got mine at World Market. You can get it online. You can get it, hey, wherever you want. You can take it with you too. You don't need electricity. All you need is hot water and a mug. Hot water, mug, and coffee. And you got your AeroPress. It's delicious, and you want to grind it fine. But again, it is all personal. So if you want it to be a little bit, if you don't want it to be quite as bitter, you can grind it a little bit coarser. Or if it's a darker coffee, you might want to grind it coarser. So that's all just because the way dark coffee shatters, you want it to be a little coarser because it's going to just like kind of evaporate as soon as you grind it. So those are all some things to think about how you want to level your coffee up, but definitely make sure you get an airtight thing. Store your whole bean coffee, store it airtight, and grind it right before you use it, and you're going to have a great cafe level experience in your house every time. Always work with a local roaster. Like us, Ovelle Coffee, we are a local roaster here in Connecticut. So if you want to go ahead and grab some locally roasted beans, fresh, made to order, you can go on our website, ovellecoffee.com. And we're also going to have a couple more offerings for you. We've got some coffee from Yemen, which is one of the birthplaces of coffee. We've got some Ethiopian coffee coming. Also, we've got a new blend in the works. So, keep an eye out for that, and it'll be definitely fresh roasted, sent out to you right away.
Absolutely. And we also do have some other workshops coming up as well. So you will be able to see those different workshops in your session guide. You can also click the links there as well to go directly to that specific workshop if there's anything that interests you there. And again, as Ian said, feel free to check us out on all of our you can check us out online at ovellecoffee.com. You can check us out on all of our social media pages. We have Facebook, we also have Instagram, and we have YouTube. So on YouTube and Instagram, we're Ovelle Coffee. And then on Facebook, we're Ovelle Coffee Co. Yep. So that's just some places you can find us outside of ovellecoffee.com.
Yep, you can.
Thank you guys so much for joining this workshop. And we really hope that you got all of the information that you needed to make the perfect cup of coffee at home and utilizing the different grinders, the different brew methods, and talking a little bit all about the different grind sizes as well.